Okay, it says that we're live today. So, hi, welcome to the almost weekly Fast Freedom Formula live video. And I'm Michael Harris. And I thought I'd talk today about self-healing. I had an opportunity, like a lot of times, from talking to clients for an idea for this video. And I hope that we can all agree that the human body is a magnificent machine. And I also hope that you can agree that the body pretty much works the way we expect it to. Sorry about that. And if you expect it to work well, then it generally does. And if you expect your body not to work well or to break down or whatever, well, you can get different results. But even if you have that positive expectation, sometimes things happen. And I was talking to a client the other day who was very, very worried about this surgery that she has coming up and the anesthesia and how long it takes to heal. And I noticed that she was in a really, really unresourceful state, kind of this trance, where everything is, the worst possible outcome that you can get. And it kind of reminded me of a different client that I had, about 15 years ago. You may or may not know that I work with athletes. And for about 10 years, I worked with USA Gymnastics. And there was this one particular client, we'll call her Becky. Yeah, because no names. And this was one of those super athletes. I mean, she was such a super athlete that at the age of 12, they were already trying to get her into elite status, and she had to wait, I think, until she was 14. But they kept training her, and she worked out with the elite people and stuff. And one day, she broke her toe, and she broke her toe really well. She broke the growth plate off of the big toe. And what that means is that if your growth plate isn't attached to the bone doesn't grow anymore. So they were really, really concerned and immediately stopped what they were doing and were on their way back from LA back to Texas so that they could see her orthopedist. And her mom calls me, and I've been working with this client weekly for, probably a year. And her mom tells me what's going on. I'm like, okay, let me talk to her. And so I, talk to her and see how she's doing. And she is just, at 12, she's already a pro athlete, tells me what's going on, and she's perfectly calm. And so I just gave her some instructions. And I said, you know how to go into trance. We've been doing this for a while. And she says, yeah. And I said, this is what I want you to do. I want you to put yourself into a mental state and activate your healing properties. And I want you to imagine that toe and that growth plate. And I want you to send a thread out to that growth plate. And once it attaches, I want you to tighten it up and send another. And when you attach that one, reel it in. And as she's tightening the thread, the growth plate, she sees it, getting closer and closer and closer to reattaching. And she did this for about 3 days. And while I was talking about that, it also reminded me of another guy that I know, and that he's been doing martial arts forever. He does Qigong, he does Tai Chi and all this stuff. And he tells a story about his instructor and how to practice internal martial arts, which is, generally internal martial arts is about self-development and healing. I mean, you can kick some major booty with it, but that's not really the purpose. The purpose is getting in touch with you. And what he said is for you to imagine that each practice, each time that you do Qigong or Tai Chi or whatever style of martial art, it could even be yoga if you wanted, that it's like laying down a piece of paper on the floor. It's just one sheet, and one sheet of paper on the floor. It doesn't look like much, does it? Okay. And then the next day, you lay down another piece of paper on top of it. And the next day, and the next day, and the next, until pretty soon, pretty soon you're going to have this column of paper that's going to begin to build up. And maybe over days or weeks or months or even years, you're going to build this column of paper that's going to go all the way from the floor to the ceiling. And it won't matter if you miss a day or two, because that column of paper is still going to be there. And even if you open up a window and a couple of sheets of paper blow away, that column of paper will still be there. So, you know, back to my gymnast, okay, she did that for like 3 days, where they're driving all the way back to Dallas to get to, you know, see the surgeon. And every time she had a moment, or every time that she was going to take a nap or do whatever it is that 12-year-olds do while they're riding in a car, she imagined sending a thread out from her big toe to the growth plate and tightening the thread, and then sending another. And they finally got back to Dallas. And her parents immediately took her to the orthopedic surgeon. And now I think it's a good idea, if you're going to do a surgery, that they do an MRI or an X-ray or something before they do the surgery. And apparently that's what that surgeon thought as well. So he took an X-ray and he looks at it. And then he asked the parents why their gymnast was in for a surgery, because the growth plate had completely reattached, which I thought was pretty cool. So I asked this client that I was talking to if she thought her body knew how to heal itself. And I asked her to imagine activating these natural healing processes, but in a very special way. And I wanted her to imagine her doing this daily. Every time that she goes to bed and lays down, she's going to get ready to, you know, go to sleep. I want her to imagine laying down a sheet of healing paper on top of that affected area. Now, maybe she does one sheet of healing paper for relaxation. Maybe the next night, to one healing sheet of paper to reduce inflammation, or to give your body permission to seek out your normal ideal weight, or rebuild muscle tissue, or rebuild cartilage or soft tissue. I mean, this is the same thing that kids do all the time, and nobody has to tell them to do it. It just happens easily and naturally. If you've got kids, you know, and I've got a memory of one of my kids, she was like sick as a dog, 102 fever, all this other stuff. She goes to bed, wakes up the next day, boom, she is fine. How do they do that? How do they do that? They just allow their natural, normal healing properties to activate. So to wind this video up for today, I'm going to ask you, what would happen if you just gave yourself permission every day? Just gave yourself permission to heal, to relax, or to return to your most optimal physical, mental, or emotional conditions. And just give this a try and let me know what happens next. So thanks for watching today. I hope this was interesting for you. If it is, please like and share, or comment in the comment section and stuff. And I'll see you next time for the Fast Freedom Formula almost weekly video.